I have a deep, dark secret I have been hiding from all of you for a while now. There's no easy way of saying this, so I'm just going to come out and say it. I play Magic the Gathering Commander. I know, I'm so sorry to disappoint you all. I'm talking about this now, displaying my shame to the world, because something very big has just occurred in the world of card games made for children. There has been a lot of drama in the community recently. As a community, we have banded together to bully a small group of volunteers that work to better the game that we love so much that they quit. This is in response to very large banning, being Dockside Extortionist, Jeweled Lotus, Monocrypt, and Nadu, but no one cares about Nadu. I'm not really here to talk about the bans too much, but if you want to know what I think about them, I think they're good bans. I think the effect on the game can only be positive. Cards like Dockside, Jeweled Lotus, and Nadu never even should have been made. They never should have been printed. The best time to ban these cards was either shortly after they were printed or at the format's inception in the case of Monocrypt, and the second best time is now. And it seems that most people agree. Every video I've seen of someone talking about these bannings are saying that, hey, you know, this probably does make the game better. So why are people mad? If you're ingrained in Magic even just a little bit, you definitely know why, but if you aren't, these are expensive cards. Some of the most expensive in the format and are staples in every deck that can run them, which for Dockside is any deck with red mana, and for Jeweled Lotus and Monocrypt, literally every deck. If you want your deck to be as powerful as it can be, you need to run these cards, which means you need to fork over a substantial amount of money. Dockside Extortionist averaged around $82, Jeweled Lotus around $90, and a single Monocrypt would send you back almost $200. And these cards are basically only played in Commander, and now you can't. So people, to an extent, were understandably upset. People who own these cards saw their value nosedive off a cliff when the RC announced these bannings. So instead of doing the reasonable thing and going, man, it really sucks that I lost all this money, but it does make the format better, so I guess I'll be salty for a while, then I'll continue to live life like normal. They sent death threats and threatened to dox people who served on the RC, which, let me remind you, are unpaid volunteers who are generally beloved figureheads in the community. This got so bad that these people decided to pack it up and hand over the reins of Magic the Gathering's most popular and successful format to Wizards of the Coast, the producers of Magic the Gathering. And you know, Wizards of the Coast have such a great record of managing their formats. Look at Modern and Pioneer. We're in good hands. Before I continue, let me be clear that this is not criticism of the RC stepping down. As I said before, I think the bannings are good for the format, and if I was a volunteer getting death threats over a children's collectible card game, I would also probably stop volunteering as well. I would probably just quit the hobby altogether. I'd be like, fuck this shit, man. I'm a pickleball guy now. I think even the more reasonable, quote-unquote, criticism of the RC's decision is questionable at best. I heard someone saying, oh, the community should have been given a warning so we could sell these cards before their value tanked. Sell these cards to who? Aquaman? And to those who don't like this ban because it shakes their faith in the value that cards hold, I have no easy way of saying this, so I guess I'll just rip off the band-aid. When Western civilization collapses because AAA game developers include one too many female or person of color protagonists to their video games, your cardboard is going to be just as valuable or less so than a piece of toilet paper. The value of cards is entirely imaginary. If everyone decided tomorrow that these cards are terrible and no one should play them, the value would tank regardless. If you want to treat this card game like a stock market and your collection as a stock portfolio, I have news for you. Stocks go down. All investments are risks. You are never guaranteed your money back. Does it suck? Yeah, losing money never feels good, but that's the risk you take. That's how the stock market works. I guess we just never learned anything from 2008. Anyway, for someone on the outside, it seems kind of weird that Wizards of the Coast, the creators of Magic the Gathering, do not run its most popular format, and it kinda is, but it's because Commander, or Elder Dragon Highlander as it used to be called, was a community format developed outside of any influence from the designers, and was sanctioned as an official format later on in its life. I've seen a handful of people saying that Wizards having full control over Commander is a good thing, and I don't really understand where the sentiment is coming from. People have been complaining about the changes Wizards have been making to the format ever since Commander became Magic's main cash cow, and have been releasing more made-for-Commander designs in products whether the sets were designed for Commander or not. So I fail to see why people are taking this like it's a positive. The general consensus is that Commander became worse when Wizards became more involved. So why is Wizards getting complete control over Commander being celebrated? I think that in the very best case scenario, everything is going to be the same as if we still had the RC. In my mind, there is no improvement that Wizards having full control over EDH can bring. The format can only get worse. I don't think it's going to be something that we see immediately, not maybe even within the next year, but I think in some years we will look back on this day and say, this is it. This is the day the music died. The RC's responsibility was to make the format as good as it could be, which I think is impossible. There were such a vast variety of cards in the Commander card pool that you could never make a good ban list, but I guess you could try your hardest, which I think the RC did. Are there some cards that could get removed or added to the ban list? Yeah, I think so, and so do probably you as well, but we probably wouldn't agree on what those cards are. You could never make everybody, or maybe even anybody, happy. People complain that the RC was too hands-off and didn't ban enough cards, and now that they finally went in after like 3 years of doing nothing to ban some of the most egregious cards in the format, people literally want them dead. Their job was impossible, and I do not envy them, but I do think that they did a much better job than Wizards of the Coast will do. You see, Wizards of the Coast and Hasbro, their parent company, have a very different intention than the group of unpaid volunteers. Their goal is not to make the format as good as it can be, but instead to make that dollar cash money. Now these are not mutually exclusive, but I don't think the overlap is as big as you might think. Hasbro wants to sell you power crap commander staples for you to put in all of your commander decks, and if you don't believe me, just look at Dockside Extortionist, Jeweled Lotus, Nadu Winged Wisdom. When it was time for these cards to be reprinted, they were not put into Commander Legends 2, the Made for Commander set, which was the sequel to Commander Legends where Jeweled Lotus made its debut, but instead in Commander Masters and Double Masters 2022, which both sold individual packs for $20 fucking instead of the normal $4 pack, or even the previous premium set price of around $8 for a pack. Hasbro wants your money, especially now more than ever as their other IPs are not doing so hot. They are a business, and they do not have your best interests in mind. If they could have it their way, they would sell you a new set every single year that would have a new, more powerful version of Jeweled Lotus that would make your old one obsolete. And I think that one of the reasons this didn't happen was partially due to the fact that the Rules Committee was a separate body from Wizards of the Coast and Hasbro. Now, I'm not saying that this is the only reason, partially because the scene I drew up is comically evil, but I do think that they kept in mind the fact that these cards could potentially get banned and they could do nothing about it. If Wizards of the Coast was always in control of Commander, they would never ban Jeweled Lotus or Monocrypt or Dockside because they know these cards sell sets. They were the chase cards that they could always fall back on until the Rules Committee said no, these cards are ruining the format, they're banned now. But now that the governing body that was separate from the design team does not exist, they don't have to worry about that anymore, and whatever restrictions the RC presented are gone with them. Could this all be fine and I'm just being a big baby? Yeah. On Weekly MTG, when questioned about the intentions that Wizards of the Coast and Hasbro have for Commander, VP of Design Aaron Forsyth said that he is also here for the love of the game, and that he and other Wizards of the Coast designers are here to make the game as fun as possible. And I believe that. I think that the designers at Wizards of the Coast do love the game, and they want the game to be as good as it can be, but I don't trust higher management. Aaron Forsyth says he has flexibility when it comes to executing his boss's goals, but how flexible is that really? If he and the rest of the designers are told to make a new super power crap commander set every single year, could he say no? I don't know. Maybe he could, but maybe he can as well. The thing is, Wizards of the Coast doesn't really have the greatest track record when it comes to managing their own formats, and I don't see how this is going to change when it comes to Commander. Modern was once Magic's most popular format, and when higher-ups at the company decided that it was under-monetized, it was transformed into Modern Horizons block constructive format that power-crapped out old staples and archetypes until the format became unrecognizable. I do think that there is a very real possibility that we see the return of Fire design in some sort. The design philosophy that brought us such great and healthy cards like Oko, Thief of Crowns, and Uro, Titan of Nature's Wrath. I actually kind of like Uro, but not because it's a fair card, far from it. And I know this argument is something I can always point back to if Commander does somehow die off sometime soon due to reasons completely detached from Wizards taking full control of the format, and be like, haha, I guess I was right the whole time, you see? But I do genuinely believe that even if for the next few years things remain fine, we have definitely just taken a step towards Commander getting the modern treatment. And as someone who loves the format as it is and as it was, this does not bring a smile to my face. Hey, if you stuck around to the end of the video, thanks for watching. I normally don't do these kinds of videos, and I probably won't for a while now. I only make kind of these video essay, kind of opinion pieces unless I feel like I really have something to say which hasn't been said already. The other thing is that when I was making this channel, I said I didn't really want to make any kind of like doomer videos, but you know, here we are. If you're a little bit familiar with my content, you might have seen that this is actually like the second hate rant video that I've made somewhat recently. So, I mean, I'm probably not going to be making too many more of these unless something really big happens. Anyway, I did say I was going to make a Seekers of the Storm video for Risk of Rain 2, I am still working on that. I got sick a while back, and then that just kind of halted my production on it all, and I've been trying to get back into the groove of it. But I really want to make this video to get this out, just because the news is so hot. Anyway, if you were looking forward to that, just know that it's coming out soon, and once again, thanks for watching the video.
Wow.